Hi there, I'm talking to you from the offices of Loc8 Code in Crosshaven in Cork. It's the start of a new year, January 2016, and it's a good opportunity for us to wish all our many users across Ireland, that's north and south, a very successful year to come. The purpose of this short video and presentation is to introduce our supporters and Loc8 Code users to the new version of the point8 app, which is just released, and very specifically to introduce users to the fact that the new version of the app will take a not so useful Eircode and convert it into a much more useful and precise Loc8 code. The focus of this particular presentation is on the Android version of the app. And if you want instructions on how to use the Apple iOS version, there's presentations and videos available separately. So before I launch into the detail of how to use the app to convert an Eircode to a Loc8 code, I want to take a few brief minutes now just to highlight some of the features of the point8 app, and particularly to highlight some of the new features. Yes, converting an Eircode to a Loc8 code is one of the new features, and I'll take you through that in more detail in a second. I want to highlight first, though, that in the app we are now supporting location and navigation to the shortened versions of Loc8 codes, 3 and 6 character versions. These have always been part of the design of a Loc8 code, and they've been implemented in that way on our website and on the Garmin sat-navs right from the outset in 2010. But because people have found them extremely useful, we're now including them in the point8 app. So this is a normal 8-character Loc8 code over here, and if I wanted to shorten that to a 6-character code, I just drop the characters in the center, 8-1 in this case, and it's always numbers, by the way. So I end up with a 6-character code that's NP6J43, and if I take that and I put it up here on the search bar of my point8 app, or if I enter it into the navigation options on my Garmin sat-nav, I will be navigated to within 100 to 120 meters of the destination. That would be roughly to street level accuracy. Equally, I can come along and I can drop all the characters of my Loc8 code, except for the first 3 characters, MP6 in this case, and I can take that and I can enter it here in the search bar on my point8 app, or equally on the Garmin sat-nav, and if I navigate to that, then I will be taken to an area roughly 3.5 kilometers wide. In other words, I would be brought to a general area. So you might ask, who would be using and what are the purpose of these shortened versions of Loc8 codes? Well, the 6-character code is very useful if you want to give street level accuracy without pinpointing your exact property for privacy reasons. And I personally find the 3-character version of the code very useful, particularly if I'm in an unfamiliar area and I've been working there all day long and I'm getting in the car in the evening ready to go home. And if I bang in the first 3 characters of my home Loc8 code into the point8 app or the Garmin sat-nav, it will get me up and running on the road towards home extremely quickly. Of course, in a few minutes down the road, I will be back on familiar roads, so I won't need navigation at all, but 3 characters will get me on the road to home extremely quickly. Of course, highlighting these kind of features in Loc8 code emphasizes how far superior it is to Eircode. In fact, Eircode has no truncated version at all to preserve privacy or for practicality purposes. Even though it has a routing key at the start of it, that routing key is not implemented for use and it is not clearly defined either. Equally, with point8 and Loc8 code, I can use the app and I can use the Loc8 codes without any internet access at all or any phone coverage. So in other words, I can locate myself or I can navigate to a Loc8 code without internet access or phone coverage. I can't do that with Eircode. Eircode is tied to a database. It has no location intelligence inherent to the code at all, and the only way it knows what the location is to compare the code to a lookup in a database, and that database, the way it's implemented at the moment, is remote. You have to use the internet to access it, and if you don't have internet access, then you don't have any functionality with Eircode whatsoever. And we all know that in rural Ireland there are many occasions, and even in city areas in Ireland during busy times, there are many times when you lose phone coverage for various reasons, and that means that Eircode has no practicality or functionality, whereas Loc8 Code can continue and be of use to people. It's a practical solution. With the app, there are no limitations in terms of Loc8 codes. In other words, I can enter as many Loc8 codes to be located on the map as I want. I can enter as many Loc8 codes to navigate as I want. I can use the GPS system on the device to generate as many Loc8 codes for my location as I want. I can bring in as many Eircodes as I want and convert them to Loc8 codes. I can bring in Loc8 codes from messages, from text forms, from emails, from other locations, and I can use as many of them as I want and convert them and navigate to them without limitations. There are some limitations in terms of the map tap functionality. In other words, the ability to tap across the screen of the app and create Loc8 code every time I tap. There are some limitations in regards to that, but if I upgrade to the Plus version, those limitations reduce and I enhance my navigation options and my sharing options for Loc8 codes. Very briefly, just to run around the interface on the point8 app itself, I have a little menu bar option up here, and if I click on that, it gives me access to the address book, gives me access to the about feature, and it also gives me access to where I can upgrade to the Plus version from the standard version. This is my Loc8 code search bar here, and this is my sharing option if I'm on the Plus version. This here indicates the number of credits I have remaining, and those credits are only for the map taps. They do not apply to any other feature of Loc8 codes, none whatsoever. So down here then I have my 4 main menu options. Here I have a location indicator, which people will be familiar with, and if I press that, I will generate a Loc8 code from the phone's or the device's internal GPS or location services. This icon here is used to toggle between a map display and a satellite display. This one here is for accessing the app's address book or indeed the phone's address book, so I can save Loc8 codes or retrieve them for navigation. And here is the navigation arrow, so if I enter a Loc8 code here and I activate this little icon here, just click on it, then I can start navigating towards that Loc8 code straight away. So they're the basic functions on the point8 app. Okay. Moving on now to start talking about using point8. The first thing we need to do obviously is to install it, and point8 is available in Android form from the Google Play Store. And when you download it, you actually download it in the standard form, which is a free version. And as I said already, that free version has all the functionality that you need. You can at any stage upgrade to the Plus version. Both versions have the functionality that we're specifically interested in this little presentation, and that is converting Eircode to Loc8 code. So to convert an Eircode to Loc8 code with the point8 already installed, what we need to do is we need to go to the Eircode Finder, which is on finder.eircode.ie on the internet, and this assumes that you have actually got internet access via your phone. It's another limitation of Eircode. If you don't have internet access, you don't even have access to their Eircode Finder utility. Let's assume that you do, and you end up looking at this, which is the Eircode Finder utility, and in that you have a little search bar where you can enter an Eircode, and the only Eircode that I know of is D08XY00. So if I enter it here and I click on the search tool, it will return to me options for that particular Eircode, and in this case there are 2 options, and I'm going to just select one, auto address. That'll do for this particular example, so I'm going to click on auto address. It displays the location of the desired option on a map interface, and here we can see a little icon showing the location of that Eircode on the map. And what we're interested particularly is there's a little button down below that on the display called directions, and if we click on that, At that point, the phone will display those applications that are loaded onto it that are capable of handling the output from the Eircode Finder. And as we have point8 installed, it's shown as an option. So we're going to select that now in a second. But just to note at this stage, we can also select always at this point, so that every time we're using Eircode Finder to convert an Eircode to a Loc8 code, we can automatically select point8 without having to manually do it on each occasion. So let's click on point8. So once you select on the point8 option, the point8 application opens up and it automatically converts the chosen Eircode into an equivalent Loc8 code and displays it on the map as here. However, there is a big health warning attached to Eircodes. Very often the Eircode doesn't actually point to the correct location, and you can see that this particular one shows the location of auto address as being this building here. Well, those of you who know auto address know that they actually occupy this building here, which is 2 buildings away. And if we were to use this, we were pass it on to someone else so that they use it for navigation, emergency services, or somebody else, what would actually happen is this converted Eircode would lead, let's say, an ambulance down along this road from which there is no access whatsoever to any of the buildings, let alone the one that has been indicated or in fact the correct building, and it in fact would just cause more confusion. So you need to double check an Eircode if you convert it into a Loc8 code, and the auto address location is here, so we can use the map tab function on point8 to actually correct that before we pass it on or use it for other people. So using the map tab function, we can tap on points on the map and move the converted Eircode to the correct location. So let's do that. So we've tapped on the map and used the map tab function in point8 to actually move an incorrect located Eircode to a correctly located Loc8 code. So here's the correct location. This is auto addresses building here, and we've indicated the front of the building from which there is access. So if an ambulance was to navigate to this, for instance, then it would be brought to the front of the building where there is an access that is usable. So we have now the correct Loc8 code for an incorrect Eircode, and we can do all kinds of things with this. We can save it, we can share it, or we can navigate to it. For instance, if you wanted to save it, you click on the little phone book option, and an address book menu opens up, and from the address book menu you can save to the point8 app address book, or you can say into the phone contact, and all of those can be retrieved later on through the little menu option up here. So you can retrieve a Loc8 code from the address book to actually navigate to, which is a nice little handy function because you don't have to look up the Loc8 code at any stage. Effectively, the Eircode is now traded in, corrected and traded in for a proper Loc8 code and a more useful Loc8 code. In the Plus version of point8, you can also choose the share option, which is here. So you can share the Loc8 code with a multitude of different applications on the device. So everything from Facebook to Twitter, general Twitter or direct message through Twitter. You can use Garmin's smartphone link to send a Loc8 code via Bluetooth to an older Garmin sat-nav that mightn't have Loc8 code supported, let's say pre-2010. You can use email, Gmail, all those different things and different sharing options from the point8 app to send on the Loc8 code to friends, family, business associates, customers, clients, whatever it might be. Or finally, you can select the navigation option on the point8 app, which is this little blue arrow down here. You can click that to start navigation. And that brings up a display showing all the navigation options that are loaded onto your phone or your mobile device. Now, if you only have the standard version of point8, then only the Google Maps option will be displayed. So only this one would be displayed with the standard version of point 8. If you have the Plus version and you have loaded your own preference for navigation applications, then they will all be displayed on this little pop-up. So if you have Waze installed, if you have TomTom Go installed, if you have Garmin Navigon's navigation application, NavMe's application, or again if you have Garmin Smartphone Link, which allows you to send a Loc8 code to an older version of Garmin SatNav that might not have Loc8 codes implemented directly on it and it has Bluetooth, you can send the Loc8 code via that. So with the Plus version, all of these options pop up and you can select whichever you prefer to navigate with. But don't forget that at any point you can click the little location button on the main menu bar at the bottom of the user face on the point 8 application. You can select that and it will generate a Loc8 code from the phone's GPS system or from its location services, and it will give you a Loc8 code. So here we have a Loc8 code generated from the GPS, and if you're not outside or there's poor satellite visibility, then it'll warn you that the accuracy is low and that you may need to improve your phone's ability to actually see the sky. So generally this is for use outdoors. GPS works best the more sky and the more satellite can see, and you should be able to get it down to 5 or 10 meter accuracy outdoors. Okay, and it'll generate a Loc8 code based on that. So now you can use this, for instance, to send your Loc8 code to the emergency services, or you could use it in routine stuff just to send it to the rescue services. So for some, if you have a breakdown on the side of the road and you're waiting for the AA to come along, you could just send them your Loc8 code and that'll make it easier for them to find you. If you're on a motorway, don't forget to use the map tap function after you generate the Loc8 code to make sure it's showing you on the right side of the motorway. Otherwise you could cause a lot of delay for the emergency services trying to reach you. So use the map tap function where necessary just to make sure on motorways that your Loc8 code is for the right side of the motorway. You could also send it, of course, to people that you want to meet up with, or with clients, or with friends, for all kinds of different purposes in your day-to-day lives. So that's the location button here, which will generate a Loc8 code at any point from the phone's own GPS systems. So there you go. I've now shown you how to convert an Eircode to a much more useful and accurate Loc8 code using the point8 app for Android, just launched in the last couple of days. Remember my word of caution about Eircodes. Very often they don't actually point to the correct location, and for that reason you should use the map tap function on point8 to correct the location before you store the Loc8 code for future use. In fact, at that point you've actually traded in something that is inaccurate and inflexible for something which is a lot more useful in the form of a Loc8 code. If you have any queries or questions or support issues with the point8 app, you can direct them to support@loc8code.com. Thank you for looking in, and once again thank you from Loc8 Code to all our supporters and all our users, and have a very good 2016. Thank you.